Hello, my name is Henry Sanders and welcome to Cornelius the Elephant, which is an online channel to look at, in particular, conservatism, what it means today and what's going on. We're keen on an interesting discussion that is non-conflict and interested in what people have to say. I'm here today to speak to Sir David Roche, who's a very interesting character because he's been around since David MacMillan. He was great friends of Dennis Thatcher, which is high praise, given the complimentary things. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about Dennis Thatcher. He sounded like a wonderful man. And we'd like to have a discussion today about reform, conservatism, and what it means today. Very nice to meet you, David. And thank you for coming on today.
Henry, very nice to be here. We're going to talk about, hopefully something to do with uniting the right, which people are talking about. It's not as easy as it seems, but we are thinking about it.
Fantastic. Well, it's definitely interesting times with everything going on in America. So first of all, how did you first meet Nigel Farage?
Oh, I met Nigel about 20 years ago. He had some MPs in the European Parliament, which I told him at the time, if he wanted to get Brexit done, he should have them in the English Parliament. He had an overdraft of, UKIP had an overdraft of 137,000 and was a bit stalled. But it's gone on forever since then. And Nigel is, I think, the greatest communicator since Ronald Reagan, the great communicator. I have said to him and I've said to others that Nigel should have been made a duke. He achieved more or the same as the Duke of Wellington did against the Napoleonic continental system without any loss of life. This is marvellous.
Fantastic. So, what would you say he's like as a person? What are his primary traits and after the years that you've got to know him?
Nigel's great ability is to be able to communicate to everybody a couple of one-liners and things to be done. But don't make it too complicated. Now, it is complicated. I've done the complicated bit. But he won one election, European elections, on we don't want something in wind farms. Currently, it's on immigration and net zero. Great. Who could vote against that? Or, we're against immigration and we're against net zero. So, tick.
Fantastic. And what do you think, in terms of uniting the parties, how much appeal do you think Nigel Farage and reform has to the Tory party as a whole and to elements of the Tory party?
Well, the big problem with the Tory party's got is that when Nigel stood down 80 candidates at Boris Johnson's election in order to get Brexit done, Conservative Party never said thank you. Now, saying thank you is a good thing. In any foreign language, you need to say, please, thank you, and my friend will pay. That's all you need.
What do you think? I mean, do you think that there's an interest? There's certainly, how much do you think there is of an interest between the two parties to actually work together to win the next campaign?
Well, my view is, and I've spoken to both the Reform Party conference and the Conservative Party conference, is that two dogs shouldn't be fighting over the same bone. And the Conservative Party is a broad church, I would say. As they always like to say, it's a broad church. And this broad church includes quite a lot of what they call yellow conservatives, people who are probably best off ideologically in the Liberal Party, in which case they should go to the Liberal Party.
Fantastic. And so when looking at the UK today, we've got a run up to the next election in 4 years or so. I suppose one of the discussions that we're having is still about Brexit. What do you think the impact of Brexit was at the time that it happened? And what do you think has happened since about Brexit, and how well have we done?
Well, Brexit is one of those things that never goes away because we actually haven't had Brexit yet. And I know that everybody knows, well, not everybody knows that. There is a 450-page oven-ready Brexit deal that Boris signed up to. He shouldn't have done, in my view. It's a handcuff treaty. It binds us to the European Union. If Starmer is trying to be closer to the European, go and look at the 450 pages that we've already got. I would like to see a government to repeal that act. Thank you.
What do you think the new relationship is going to be like with America? And what do you think it will mean for our present relationship with the EU?
Well, America and England has interests. There's no particular special relationship. That's always been a fiction. We have interests, and as long as their interests and our interests are similar, we are then allied in our interests. I think it's helpful that the President of America mother came from Scotland and he has golf courses in Scotland. This is probably much better for America than it is for England.
So, looking at the UK today, what do you think that our present global outlook looks like? I mean, are we the beginning of a great age of crescendo for the UK? Or do you think that we're in a market, they say, that's going sideways, that there's going to be a lot of complexity in the coming years, and we'll see what it looks like in 10?
Well, I hate to say that we look out on the whole world, but England, the whole world doesn't look at us anymore. For the occasional funeral and occasional coronation, they do, which of course brings us an enormous amount of money. I mean, the number of tourists that came to London after the coronation was amazing. And we get 20% of everything they spend. This is wonderful. They're well worth our money.
Which brings us to the next question. What do you think the state of the public finances is in the UK? And what are the main things that you think we could do to change things for the better? Well,
this is, I hate to say, one of my specialist subjects. The state of the finances of the UK is pretty bad. Compared, for instance, to the state of the finances in the Republic of Ireland. They're running a surplus on their budget at the moment. They have money in the bank. Here we worry about the deficit as some material relationship to a GDP, which I'm not sure what a GDP is. But yes, we've got at the moment a problem with immigration, net immigration. That means poor people are coming into the country and rich people leaving. We want the rich people back. There's nothing to pay for the poor people who are coming in.
Do you find discussions about net migration to be somewhat deceptive?
Oh, net migration is a nonsense. Because as I said, it's just poor people leaving, coming in, and rich people leaving, and we want their money. When I was years ago in Estonia, because I was working for the British government there, and then I went to the Estonian Government Tax Commission. This was in the 90s, when the country was bust. Had no money. It couldn't go on taxing its own people. So new taxes, like flat taxes and things, were introduced to get people from other countries to pay tax in Estonia, which has been hailed as a great example. But no, and England to do the same. It's got to try and persuade people who pay tax in other countries that it's much nicer to pay tax in England than in their countries. And Switzerland have been doing that for a long time, which is why they've got a lot of English people doing that.
Which taxes do you think people who might come to the United Kingdom to live here and invest and benefit the British people, which ones do you think they're most and least sensitive to?
Well, I did a straw poll in Verbier some years ago and asked people how much would they, what would they need from a tax situation in England to come back to live in England and pay between 20 and 30% of their worldwide income. And they say, we'd do it tomorrow on one condition: we abolish inheritance tax. If there were no inheritance tax, all the people who own the businesses, who currently live in Monaco and other such places, who would much rather live in England next to their grandchildren, would come back, and we would get 20% of everything they spent. This is something that is not taken on board.
So do you think the UK could benefit from something closer to a flat tax?
Well, the flat tax story is, again, a lot of people got very excited about flat taxes, and it was introduced as a concept and idea in the Truss government, or short-term Truss government, because they didn't pick up the nuances. As I said at the time, they were the right. It was like the Andre Previn sketch. They were the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order.
I see. And so, what do you think the barriers to any reform of the tax system might be? What are the biggest barriers to that?
Well, the biggest barriers to a reform of the tax system are the people, of course, who are employed to pay to collect the taxes. We have 96,000 people working for the Inland Revenue.
So, what do you think of Doge and what's happening in America, and how much do you think it can be a model for what we, as Conservatives, we want to achieve in the UK?
I wouldn't be too worried about what's happening in America, because quite a lot of America is part of what's called the art of the deal, if you've read the book, which I now have. So not all you see is what you're going to get. The art of negotiating from a high point and then coming back to something more realistic will happen in lots of places. And so what's going to happen in America, I don't know, but I'm generally in favour of doing deals.
What do you think about, if I want to ask about global politics, what do you think about the renewed energy in the Middle East means to the world, to the UK, and to the Middle East, I suppose?
Well, the Middle East is, of course, interesting. It's not one of my areas of interest. I've never been there. So I'm like you, I'm only looking from the outside. The fact that Trump is in the Middle East at the moment is a good thing. For the last 20 years, America, or Pax Americana, basically withdrew from the Middle East. And there have been lots of wars. He's quite good at stopping wars. Let's wait and see.
So what do you think about Ukraine? Do you think that what the Americans are doing is going to be productive and bring us to a better outcome? Or do you think it's smoke and mirrors?
Well, I've been to Kiev, so I know that it's a civil war. It's a civil war between somewhat unequal partners. In the privatization, which I went there to have a look at, after all the great privatizations, most of the privatization in Ukraine was privatized by Russian people or with Russian money. So it's difficult. The answer is, I don't know. I have a good friend whose mother is Russian, or was Russian. Her father was Ukrainian. She spent the last couple of years on the Polish border helping refugees. And my latest view from the ground is that both sides want to stop. They just want to stop, both sides. No one's going to get anywhere. And I think it would save us a lot of money if they did stop.
So what do you think about America's focused on East Asia and China?
Well, I think the answer is it should do. The problem is, they talk about China a lot. The problem with China is it's bust. And the Chinese, about 10, 15 years ago, the Chinese rice bowl became too expensive for people to move manufacturing to China. And indeed, I know one firm that's actually taken its manufacturing back from China and brought it back to France. Well, okay, it's a French company. So it's that's the problem. And if cornered lands are cornered, they're inclined to bite. And that's the dangerous bit. we have no particular, in England, have no particular interest in East Asia. We used to, but we don't. We'll show the flag, but East Asia is a problem, which may go away.
Interesting. So what do you think the state of the Tory party is today, and what do you think they need to do going forward?
Well, the Tory party is, I would say, has less spirit than most parties. It's a bit lost. It's deliberately trying to ask its members to produce some policies, which is very unusual. The leader is not making big policy statements, which is probably right. I mean, we've got 4 years until the next election. So why have policy statements down now? A week is a long time in politics, said Harold Wilson. And, 4 years is an eon.
I think that the present day is a very vibrant time for conservative discussion.
Well, conservatism is quite difficult to define. I define it as being a sense of community. Conservative people or Conservative Party always was a conservative and a community party. And he had something, or the Labour Party had something that the Conservative Party didn't have, and that's hate. The Conservative Party doesn't hate people. It looks after a community and is a bit noblesse oblige, but likes to run a community. And that's, I think, where conservatism used to be or should be. It's now getting a bit polarized, as in America, between what's called the far left and the far right. And we'll see what happens in the next 4 years.
What would you describe as being at the heart of the Labour Party, and what do you think they're going to do as opponents to conservatism in the coming 4 years?
Well, the heart of the Labour Party, I say, is hate, and is trying to take things away from people who got something I haven't. And as Margaret Thatcher always used to say, it's the taxpayers' money. And if the taxpayer doesn't like it, the taxpayer's going to leave. And the ones who have got to pay the biggest amounts of tax are the richest people, and they're leaving. Wasn't it somebody said they were leaving at 1 millionaire every 75 minutes? It's ridiculous.
Well, thank you very much, David. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. I really enjoyed the discussion, and hopefully all of you will too. We hope to have more discussions like this.
Henry, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you very much for asking me.